so honored to have our next guest. He's a Tony Award-winning triple threat with a career spanning 5 decades. His performances transcend time and have been woven into the fabric of this country's artistic legacy. Please welcome the legendary Ben Vereen.
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
This is the Rio for the Rio, you know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
Oh, Ben, we are so happy to have you on the show. Now, you recently celebrated some huge milestones, your 75th birthday, and also 50 years in the business.
Wow.
Tell us, what memories do you have about your very first show?
It's a good question because not many people ask me about my very first show. Most people think it's Pippin, all right?
Right.
It's not. Or they'll say Jesus Christ Superstar. Not. My first show was right out of high school, and I was doing a show at a place called the Greenwich Muse Theater, directed by a wonderful African-American director named Vinette Carroll.
Wow.
She was doing a production of a show named The Prodigal Son, written by a guy named Langston Hughes.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, that's
Yeah.
historic.
I got to have dinner. He came to the theater, and I was in an altercation. I was young and fiery in those days. And I'm coming out of the backstage, and he says, where's Benjamin? He says, are you Benjamin? I said, yeah, I'm Benjamin. What do you want? He said, I think I better buy you dinner. My name is Langston Hughes.
Oh, my
Did
goodness.
that stop you in your tracks?
And we became friends. He became friends. He took me to Harlem, introduced me to Harlem, and gave me some books about the Renaissance and talked about the Renaissance and what we've done through the Renaissance and our revolution of culture and the arts.
Oh, wow.
And his travels. Oh, my God.
You know, you have become close with so many wonderful and talented people over the years, one of which is a friend of our show, Mr. Glenn Turman. Tell us about the friendship.
That's my buddy. Glenn and I met in high school, high school for the performing arts. He was in the drama department. I was in the dance department. And we formed a band, a steel drum band called Utopian 5.
Wow.
Ooh, we were bad. We would play everywhere. We have our steel drums, ding, 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 ding. And Glenn had this old DeSoto. And the West Side Highway had an upper deck in those days. And there was 5 of us sitting in the car who were Utopian 5. We sit in the car and we park on the upper level. And we looked out and we said, man, let's go to Hollywood. Glenn said, yeah, but this car ain't gonna make it.
Well, let's just say that
Years later, we end up in Hollywood. And I came to Hollywood to do a show called Hair. And he was already out there. And we hooked up again. Matter of fact, now he lives right around the corner from my daughter, Karan Davis, who had the Underground Museum. And is an artist of her own right.
Well, we could never forget your iconic role as Chicken George in Roots, which earned you an Emmy nomination. How did that impact your life? Because you had been dancing, but this was like television. How did that impact you?
Yeah.
I had read in a book, a magazine called Reader's Digest. There was a book being published or put out called Roots by Alex Haley.
Yes.
And I heard that ABC had the courage to put on a miniseries. I, like a lot of African Americans in America, wanted to be a part of that particular production. So I went to my agent and I said, Roots, man, black man, gotta do Roots.
Right.
He said, Ben, and he said, look, you're a song and dance man. He said, they're looking for actors. He said, nah, I wouldn't, no. I said, but he said, look, there's a gig for you in Chicago. Go do the gig. So I go to Chicago. And there's a group that opens for me is these sisters named Sister Sledge.
Oh.
They had a new album out called We Are Family.
Yep.
We go down to Savannah, Georgia. We're playing at a high school. And I'm doing my character, Bert Williams, in blackface, talking about the oppression of black people and what we had to do in order to be on the American stage. And we didn't want to see our skin. We had to wear blackface. So I'm doing this number. And after the show was over, there's a knock on my door. And the guy is standing there, was a guy named Stan Margulies. He says, Ben Vereen? I said, yes. He said, my name is Stan Margulies. We're here doing the opening of a show called Roots, and I want you to be my Chicken George.
Wow.
Wow.
And the rest
I
is
want to be a
history.
part of it. I don't care if I was on the ship going, let me out of here, let me out of here. I want to be a part of it. I just want to be a part of that. And we had no idea the impact it would have on the world. No, the reason for doing Roots was the fact that when I grew up, there was what seemed like one paragraph. You were a slave and Lincoln freed you. Well, Alex Haley went to Africa, went to Jufere, back to where Kunta Kinte's family was, found his roots, and he came back on a freighter where he slept in the hull of the ship to simulate what it must have been like, and he wrote this book about our crossing. I went back to Jufere, and I stood on what they called it King's Island. It's now called Kunta Kinte Island. It was King James, now it's Kunta Kinte Island, because a friend of mine named Chaz Guess, who's an artist, talked to the president. And so I went back to the cell where they held us, and I would hold my hand against the wall, these little cells where these warriors were stuffed in, and families were scattered on the island. This little island, it was called A Door to No Return.
Wow.
I put my hands on the wall and wept like a baby.
Wow.
And this is my wailing wall.
Wow.
This is my wailing wall. Whew.
So powerful, so powerful. Ben, not only are you a singer, dancer, and actor, but you're the godfather of another triple threat, R&B singer Usher. We want to know, what's some advice have you shared with him over the years, and how has it been watching his career evolve the way it has?
Employment.
I hear that.
Don't forget employment. And, my daughter brought Quran. She brought one of my daughters. I have three. One Quran is a baby. She brought Usher to me on what in those days was VHS.
Yeah.
And I was doing cruise ships, and she was backing me up with her sisters, Kamara and Malika. And I put the VHS in, and I'm looking at it, and I see this kid. And he's running. She said, "Dad, what do you think of him?" I said, "Well, first of all, he's got to pull up his pants. That's the first thing he's got to do." "Oh, but he's so talented, Dad. He's so talented." Next thing I know, all of my dance tapes are being off my shelf. She's gone to Atlanta. She's going to Spelman, and she's taking all my tapes with her. And now I get this call, "Oh, Dad, could you come down and work with him?" I said, "Work with him?" So I went down to Atlanta, and he was doing a TV show. I worked with him on that. And one day I went down, and he said, "Pops, I want you to hear something." And he played "You Make Me Wanna."
Oh.
And I turned to my daughter and I said, "Stand back." She said, "Why?" I said, "He's about to blow up." I'm watching him today. He's in Las Vegas doing residency.
Right.
Yes.
And I'm so proud of this young man. I went to the show and I saw his moves. I saw what he did, his production. I'm proud. I watch my children now blossoming.
Yes.
And it serves me well because I see what I've done.
Right.
Oh,
And they are a reflection of my dreams for them.